Good morning, everybody. This is Scott Jones in Linden, Kansas, and we're going to talk about our parental apathy case study. This is EDL 856, Module 14. Okay, some different things that we need to know about this case study. That's certain information that we do know. We do have a lack of parental involvement here at JFK. We do know that they do not have a parent-teacher organization or a parent-teacher association. They have had these activities in the past, but at present time they do not have any of these. We have two different leadership philosophies from the principal and the assistant principal. We have poor community relations, and the assistant principal, in my opinion, chose a poor choice of correspondence when choosing to correspond or to meet with our parents. What do we need to know? We need to know the demographics and the history of the community involvement. We don't know what size of school this is. I'm assuming it's a rather large school with assistant principals. We don't know the structure or the style of the community. Maybe it's a very blue-collar type community. Maybe this is a very high social economic status type community. We don't know what type of community involvement they've had in the past or why it's not present now. We don't know the principal's track record. We don't know how long he's been here, how ingrained he is in the community, or what type of track record he has on past projects. Has he succeeded at projects? Has he failed at projects? Why does he have the attitude that he has now? We don't know the assistant principal's involvement. We don't know what her role in this building is. Maybe Mrs. Rose is just designed to be a hallway monitor and a disciplinarian. We don't know what her role in this principal's system normally is. Are her ideas open and inviting? Are they well received, or is it more of a pain for this principal to deal with? We don't know the district protocol involving the chain of command. In my opinion, she was okay in how she handled this, but she's getting very close to not following the chain of command and stepping over somebody's toes. I know in my district it's very important that you follow the chain of command. You go through the principal. If that problem's not being resolved, you go through the superintendent. If that problem's not being resolved, then you go to the Board of Education. You don't go outside the chain of command. You don't make things public knowledge. And the last thing, why have parent-led organizations failed in the past? The article stated that they were there in the past. Who was involved in them? And if they were involved in them, why did they fail? Okay, identify the problem. For me, the problem is threefold. Obviously, the parents are involved here. There's a lack of parental involvement, a lack of parental support. Why is that the case? Why are they not showing up? Why are they not invested in their kids' education? Why are they not invested in their child's future? To me, that is a very large, concerning problem. Problem number two would be the principal. Why is he reluctant to change? Again, we talked about his track record the last time. What burned him in the past? What type of parent-led organizations gave him some sort of negative feedback in the past? Why did we do away with them? And then how did he utilize these parents when they were involved? Problem number three also deals with Mrs. Rose. Whether it's positive or negative, she's also a part of this problem. She's a young, ambitious leader. I'd like to know more about her leadership style and philosophy. I'd like to know more about what she is wanting to get out of this. We don't know. We don't know if she's a young leader that just wants to jump in feet first and change everything, or if this is just, the one thing this year that she really wants to focus on. Without being involved in the school, without being involved in the community, we don't really know what her leadership style is. Okay? So, moving on, my steps to resolve the problem. If this were me, I would obviously continue with the meeting. Judging by what the article stated, there had been poor community involvement in the past. 8 parents is better than none. And for as many notes got home, it's probably a pretty decent turnout. And then I'm going to let those parents advocate for me. I'm going to let them do their job. I'm going to be very upbeat. I'm going to be very positive with our image and our vision. And I'm going to let them go out and advocate for me. I'm going to brainstorm ideas on how to better community involvement with them. I'm going to let them pick the time and the place of our next meeting. And hopefully we're going to go ahead and attract some more community members. Even if we go from 8 to 15 and then 15 to 30, it's just a domino effect. The biggest thing is getting people to buy in. Strategies to implement the plan. Again, we're going to continue with the meeting. If we don't continue with the meeting, you might as well kiss this idea goodbye. We're not going to have a parent-led advocacy group. We're not going to have any type of parent-led organization. If you shut this meeting down and you send those 8 parents home, they're not coming back, and there's probably nobody coming to the next one. Okay, the next step, in the next week or two, I'm going to meet with all the administration to discuss our different options, discuss which route we want to take, all the way from the principal to the superintendent and possibly the Board of Education. We're going to brainstorm new ideas with the parent advisory group, see what their thoughts are, see what works best for them. Again, this plan is twofold. Okay, we're half the plan. The parents have to be involved as well, and we have to make an attempt to make things as beneficial and as easy to deal with as we possibly can. The next thing, we're going to discuss alternate forms of communication. I stated this earlier. I think Mrs. Rose chose a poor form of correspondence. At least in my experiences, when you send letters home with elementary kids, only half those letters make it to the book bag. The other half of the letters, when they get home, some of the parents read them, some of the parents throw them in the trash. So you may be looking at getting a quarter of the parents to read the note in the first place, and of that quarter of the parents, you're lucky if you get half of those to show up. So you're dealing with an eighth of the parents of your student body right now. We need to find a way to communicate with parents directly, whether this is a text plan, whether this is Facebook, whether it's Twitter, email alerts, something. We need to have a direct line of communication with our parents. It doesn't need to go through their kindergartner's hands. Resolution of the issue. I think we can all agree on these 3 things. This is how students succeed. First of all, your parents have to be involved. They have to take ownership in their kids. They have to take ownership in the education. They have to take ownership in their kids' futures. Community support. I know in our community, we are very blessed to have the community support that we have. There's a lot of pride in the community based on what our kids are doing in the school district. You always see them at certain types of events. You see them at athletic events. You see them at charitable events. There's a lot of pride in the education and in the form of kid that we are modeling in our community. The last thing would be collaboration amongst the stakeholders. This is a foundation that's built on trust. It's built on long-lasting relationships. Mrs. Rose is new in this community. We don't know if she has developed this foundation yet. Okay? To a lot of people in the community, she's probably a stranger. So for her to go out and ask for all these different things might be rubbing some people the wrong way. Yes, she needs to be visible. We all know this. She needs to go out. She needs to be visible. She needs to be at certain community functions. She needs to be at certain community events. She has to develop that trust. And then we can go about in a strategic plan of forming some sort of directional change. Whoops. Okay. The examples of the data. This is the stuff that we gleaned from the article. Obviously, there's poor community involvement. Only 8 parents attended the meeting. We understand this. We know this. How many parents was the letter sent out to? And how many parents actually got the letter? We don't know these things. Poor communication. We talk about student-delivered notes. Again, if it's me, I'm going to find an alternate route of correspondence. I'm going to find a way to talk to parents directly. The first thing I'm probably going to do is I'm probably going to go ahead and make an announcement at some sort of public activity, whether that's a play, a dance recital, a band concert. We're going to go ahead and take a second and make an announcement before that starts. That way the parents that are in attendance there already know. And then I'm going to back that up with another form of correspondence, either on social media, on Facebook, or some sort of email sent out. We're going to go ahead and touch base with them in a variety of different ways. It's not just going to be a student-delivered note. The next thing, the principal states that they have a poor track record in the past. They said they've had dismal support in past years. I'd like to see what that looks like. How long ago was it? What efforts were made to involve the community? And then what role did they play once they were involved? As you're going through reading this article, a lot of mixed emotions. You have some thoughts, you have some feelings, and then at the end you value certain things throughout the article. Your thoughts, obviously your first thought is how do you improve community relations throughout John F. Kennedy schools. Okay? Your next thought is what type of repercussions is Mrs. Rose possibly facing? She's, like I said, she's very, very close to stepping over the principal's toes and getting outside the chain of command. Feeling. You're kind of feeling dismayed at the lack of commitment that the principal shows and getting his parents involved in their students' activities. As far as I know, nobody has ever been taught that community involvement is a bad thing. So, what type of past experience has he had to where he's burnt out on this and he feels like it's his way or the highway? You're also very anxious for the vice principal. Is she going to get the job done here? Or is this going to be one of those situations where she works and works and works, gets disgruntled, moves on, and then starts sliding as an administrator? Maybe this is one of those cases where in 5 years she is valuing a different job and she's moving on. You value the first parent advisory group for them to step out of their comfort zone, for them to take time out of their day and come in and meet with you. It's obviously very important for them, so you want to use that to your advantage. And you also value community relations involved in your student growth and performance. We know when community members get involved, good things happen. Unresolved issues, things that you need to dig deeper on. You need to dig deeper on the relationship between the school district and the community. We need to understand the track record of the principal and his past projects, whether he was able to delegate authority or is he one of those guys that has to have his hand involved in everything. You need to investigate for the parent advisory group. You need to go ahead and get their ideas and put that into a plan of action. You also need to dig deeper into the repercussions for going outside the chain of command. What type of repercussions is Mrs. Rose going to face here? Okay, moving on to our standards. How did you as a building level administrator collaborate with families and community members to contribute to the school's success? The first thing we did, we continued with a meeting. We collaborated with these 8 parents to see what their ideas are and see what the future holds for us. The next thing we did, you share your vision. You share your vision with the administration, with the parents you have present, and then later with the community. If you're very direct in your vision, you're very direct in your plan of action, good things happen. The next thing, we need to find alternate forms of communication, whether this is social media, text alerts, newspapers, or other social functions. B, how did you as a building level administrator respond to diverse needs and interests of the community on an ongoing basis? This is all about collaboration. It really is. You have to collaborate with your faculty and staff. You have to collaborate with your parents. You have to collaborate with your community. Okay, in this case, we collaborated with the parent advisory group. We worked with those 8 parents. We let them advocate for us. In the future, we hope that is a larger group. The next thing you do, you send out a community needs survey. Sometimes it's not always about what the community can do for you. If you're not ingrained in the community, you don't have any community involvement, you don't know what you can do for them either. You don't know which parents or which families are struggling. You don't know which kids need some sort of financial assistance as far as meals or school supplies or whatever the case may be. And you don't know, what type of problems there are in your community. You don't know how you can help them. Again, trust is a two-way street. You have to trust them to be there in times of need, and they also have to trust you. C would be valuing all stakeholders. You have to value these relationships. You never know when you're going to need some sort of assistance. All right, and finally, how did you as the building level administrator mobilize community resources to address and help solve the problems in a way that supports the school? The first thing we did, we established the current parent advisory committee. According to the article, the principal was very, very negative towards this type of action in the beginning, and you got the job done. It's not huge. It's not really active yet, but it's there. The next thing is, by establishing a community, you develop trust and relationships with your current stakeholders. Again, let those 8 people advocate for you. You have 8 people on your side now. Maybe the next meeting it's 15. Maybe the next meeting it's 30. You have to continue to build trust in those relationships, and you'll move your vision in the right direction. The next thing, obviously, we need to establish a social media presence. We need to have a one-on-one contact with our parents. We need to have some sort of contact where I know that they are seeing the message that I am putting out there, whether that's Facebook, whether that's Twitter, some sort of form of social media. We need to have direct contact with our parents. And that would be it. Thank you all for watching my presentation. Thank you for being a part of this course. I appreciate all your feedback, and good luck in the next one.